Princes, there's one with shocking gore. His goal, the domination and enslavement of us all. The god of schemes, the prince of pain, the cat.
Hello everybody and welcome to yet another video. Today we're playing the Tempest Island, not to be confused with Temptation Island. There are no horny blokes and girls here. There's no booze here either, or cameras, well, just my camera. What we do have, however, are, once again, Siren or Lamia. A bunch of snakes, essentially. This is an instance which is designed for players between level 35 and 36. And you will see a lot of similarities between this instance and the Arx Corinium. Both when it comes to the enemies you'll face and also the boss mechanics. Another thing you might have noticed is the size of the groups. They are getting considerably bigger and therefore more dangerous, because if you've got someone wearing light armor, or especially your healer, you should watch out that he's not being ambushed by 2 or 3 mobs. As a tank it's pretty hard to keep track. The first boss of the instance is Somolin the Matriarch, and she is hidden behind a pack of enemies. So after like 10 seconds or something, she decides to join the fight, and as a tank it's important to pick her up. So I'm doing that over here. I've got her aggroed, and now you should just face her away from the group, because she does this ultrasound cone attack, just like the other bosses in Arx Corinium. So besides her cone attack, she really doesn't do anything else. And once the ads are dead, she's pretty easy to kill. This is the second boss, and he's called Valoran Stormcaller. He's actually been tampering with the weather or something, because right here he gets a shock, and you should be aware of a few things during this fight. First of all, let's start with his abilities. He only does 2 things, which are this, a power attack, and it's pretty important you block those in this fight. And his other ability is a stun. You can see it later on where he stuns someone with his lightning spell. And that's always aimed, this time at me, but it's aimed at a random party member. Use both mouse buttons to get out of it. But as you might have noticed, the most important thing during the fight is that storm over there, which is a constant AoE. It moves in all directions. It doesn't really follow anybody, it's just a random AoE going through the room. And as a tank it's important to stay away from the cloud and maneuver the boss away from the storm. Because if you start tanking him in the storm, you can probably take it, but as you can see here, we've got 2 melee DPS and they will just get slaughtered. So pay attention to the blocks and pay attention to the storm, and then you should be fine. The next boss is Yalaresi the Speaker, a fairly standard boss, and actually the hardest part is the start, because there are once again a lot of other mobs around her, and you should take care of those. The boss herself does 3 things, 2 AoE attacks and 1 power attack. So this is the power attack, which should be blocked. Then she summons a storm, which you should get out of. And her third ability is also a AoE attack, which is this one. Here we are at the 4th boss. His name is Stormfist, and it's either an Atronach or a Golem or something like that. At least he's pretty big and he does a few things. The first you can see here is that he summons ads. 3 of them to be precise. And they should be taken care of because they start running around attacking random people. And you don't want that. Especially your healer doesn't want that. So the boss itself does this AoE attack, which is like a stamp on the ground. And this one, the latter can be avoided. The first one is really hard to get away from as a melee character. Because even technically I'm outside the area, but I still get hit. And this you can just run away from. So he has quite a lot of health. And here come the ads again. And what I usually do as a tank is I try to pick up at least a few ads as well. Because I can take the damage. I'm a tank after all. And other people can't. So if you're able, try to pick up a few ads as well. It would just make things easier on your party. And this time I didn't even bother to get away from the AoE because it'll hit me anyway. So when those situations arise, I just stand still, block. And this is actually a very important final skill. He just starts enraging, and this AoE can actually not be avoided. I'm trying, but it's not working. So what you have to do at the end of the fight is just do an awful lot of damage to minimize this period. Here we have another minor boss, and it's one of those bosses where the trash alone can kill you, because there are so many of them. So you see at least like 8 or something. So you've got like 8 trash mobs and the boss. So it's vital that you kill the ads first. I know I say that a lot, but it cannot be stressed enough in my opinion. Especially if you leave healers alive. So the boss does only 2 things. He does this, which is a stun basically, or you're incapacitated and you're in an orb. And the second ability is a regular power attack, which should be blocked like that. And once the ads are down, he will go down afterwards. We have arrived at the final boss of the instance. She's called Stormreef Nightier, and she's a lightning mage. Lightning is kind of the theme in this instance. Pretty much every boss does 1 or 2 lightning attacks, and this one can actually be very annoying because of her devastating AoE attack. It's one of those AoE attacks which is very fast, very hard to get away from when you're near her, and a few good hits will just kill you. And as you can see, the boss cannot really be tanked either, because she just keeps targeting random people. She has random attacks, random charges, the AoE. So as a tank, it's actually pretty hard. Or well, not hard, but you feel kinda useless. So we died the first try, and we're gonna try again. So I'll talk a bit more in depth of her tactics. Like I said, she attacks random people. You can taunt, but it won't last for long. The second ability is this one, her devastating AoE. Her third one is this, which is a charge at a random party member. And another thing she does is a random lightning strike, usually right after her AoE. There it is. And the fourth thing to watch out for are all these little tornadoes, I suppose, that are occupying the battlefield. They hurt and they stun a bit, and if they are in front of you, you cannot get through it. So altogether, a lot of damage abilities. But the most important thing is the AoE, because after her charge you should just run away from her. If you do that, not that many people will get harmed, and you should also spread out a bit during this fight. Because if all the ranged DPS are grouped up and they take a charge followed by an AoE, they will all take massive damage, and you can't have that.